Do not pass judgment on anyone unless you have talked to them one-on-one. I don't care what the story is.
Every time a celebrity loses control in public, the world reacts the same way. The clips spread across social media within minutes. Television networks replay the footage for days. Millions of strangers leave comments as if they know exactly what happened. Some laugh, some judge, some turn it into a meme. But almost nobody asks the question that actually matters. Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, Robin Williams, Justin Bieber, Kanye West, different generations, different careers, different lives. Yet, somehow, they all reached a moment the entire world watched. Some called them controversial. Some called them broken. Some simply laughed. But almost nobody stopped to ask the question that mattered most. What happened before that moment?
When did the color of your skin start to change?
Oh boy, sometime after Thriller, around Off the Wall Thriller. Sometime
and what did you
there.
think? I mean,
It's in my family. My father said it's on his side. I can't control it. I don't understand. I mean, it makes me very sad.
Because public meltdowns rarely begin in front of a camera. They usually begin years earlier, behind closed doors, inside hotel rooms, after sold-out concerts, on long flights between world tours, in conversations no audience ever hears, and sometimes inside the mind of someone carrying a weight no one else can see. We've been taught that fame is the ultimate reward: the red carpets, the private jets, the luxury homes, the standing ovations, the millions of fans. From the outside, it looks like the perfect life, but almost every celebrity who has lived inside that world tells a very different story. They don't describe freedom. They describe pressure. They don't describe peace. They describe expectations. And they don't describe privacy, because somewhere along the way, the world stopped seeing them as people. They became headlines, brands, products, content. History has a strange habit of remembering celebrities by their worst moments. One interview, one mistake, one emotional outburst, one photograph, one viral clip. That single moment follows them for years, sometimes for the rest of their lives. But human beings are never just one moment. Every breakdown has a backstory. Every public collapse begins long before the cameras arrive. And perhaps no story explains that better than Michael Jackson. Long before he became the king of pop, before the sold-out stadiums, before the records that changed music forever, there was simply a little boy who loved to perform. Most children spend their early years discovering who they are. Michael spent his discovering how to entertain the world, while other children worried about school, weekends, and birthday parties. Michael was rehearsing, recording, touring, learning that millions of strangers already knew his name. For many people, fame arrives after adulthood. For Michael, fame became his childhood. It became normal to walk through airports surrounded by security. It became normal to see cameras waiting outside hotels. It became normal for complete strangers to discuss his life as though they personally knew him. Imagine never experiencing anonymity. Imagine never knowing what it feels like to simply walk outside without becoming tomorrow's headline. That kind of life changes a person, not because they're weak, because they're human. Years later, Michael spoke openly about missing the childhood he never truly had. Those weren't just words. They were reminders that success often asks for something in return.
My childhood was completely taken away from me. There was no Christmas. There was no birthdays. It was not a normal childhood. No normal pleasures of childhood. Those were exchanged for hard work, struggle, and pain, and eventual material and professional success. But as an awful price, I cannot recreate that part of my life, nor would I change any part of my life. However, today, when I create my music, I feel like an instrument of nature. I wonder what delight nature must feel when we open our hearts and express our God-given talents.
Why would any of that? Why would any of that?
Bro, I ain't finished.
I ain't finished my sentence.
Nothing you're saying has anything to do with regret.
Hey, boy.
Don't call me boy.
Don't finish. I told you. Oh, don't treat me like a boy then. I'm gonna finish my sentence of my idea.
Nothing you're saying has got anything to do with the tweet.
Cool. La 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 means let me finish.
Okay.
I'm not finished talking. So I cannot see, because you distract my thoughts and then you try to make me look like a crazy person and you feel you have the right to cut me off, and I've proven you guys don't want it with me. This is like Terminator 20. You've never seen this before.
17.
No.
Never.
No.
I have to tell you, it's so hard to believe that based on all that we've read.
I'm gonna tell you something, Gail. There's one thing. I'm gonna tell you something.
What the women said about you.
What women said about me.
Robert,
Stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing.
Robert.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. Y'all killing me.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me. You killing me, man. This is not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth.
Each other, been around each other?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me now as far as that situation. I think I'm past that in my life, and I think today is the album day, so that's what I'm focused on. So everybody go get that album.
Yeah, but you can understand how some people, you know, what that was very serious. What you went through and what happened and even the judge though afterwards said that you had served your time as far as the community service and that and moving on. But how have you been able to
I've been focusing on this album, you know. I think this album is what, you know, I want people to hear and want people to really get into. So definitely this album is what I want them to talk about and not the stuff that happened 2 years ago.
I understand that.
Enough about this, let's move on.
Let me ask you this one thing.
Let's move on, okay? Honestly, I'm ready. I'm not going to get attacked here. You're here, so I'm done with this. Next.
Is that an attempt to hide your income?
Next question.
I think the peanut gallery is going to start chiming really quickly. We've been audited.
I think you can air what you want here out of this interview. It's done. Oh my God. You got a lot of nerve, boy. I'll tell you. Honestly, really. You know, honestly.
Why
really,
can't I
that is
ask
just
these
honestly,
questions?
and I was told this is a friendly, nice interview, and that's no one has ever treated you as disrespectfully as you have.
See yourself for the Oscars.
You can't live your whole life behind your phone, bro.
Huh?
You're just not gonna. We can't do that. You gotta live in the now.
Sorry.
You know?
And how was
We're at the
working?
Golden Globes. If you put your phone down, you'd know that.
Sometimes it asks for normality. They're listening because they're waiting for something controversial. Every conversation becomes dangerous. Every opinion becomes evidence. Every emotion becomes content. Whether people agreed with Kanye or not isn't really the point. The point is this: the cameras never looked away, and constant observation changes people. Psychologists have long described what happens when human beings feel they're being watched all the time. They become anxious, hyper-aware, defensive, sometimes withdrawn, sometimes unpredictable. Now imagine living like that, not for a week or a month, but for decades. That pressure doesn't simply disappear because someone is wealthy. Money can buy comfort. It cannot buy anonymity. It cannot buy peace of mind. And it certainly cannot stop millions of strangers from deciding who you are based on a 30-second clip. That's something the internet has become remarkably good at, reducing entire lives into moments. One interview becomes someone's personality. One mistake becomes someone's legacy. One emotional reaction becomes all people remember. But life has never been that simple, because behind every reaction, there is always a reason. And behind every reason, there is usually a story nobody bothered to hear. That's why the most dangerous thing about fame isn't criticism. It's isolation. Because eventually, you stop knowing who genuinely sees you and who only sees the celebrity dot. Because eventually, you stop knowing who genuinely sees you and who only sees the celebrity. Someone the entire world recognized. Imagine carrying that reality for decades. Imagine walking into every room knowing people have already formed an opinion about you. Imagine never being able to disappear. Never being able to make mistakes in private. never being able to ask for space without someone turning it into tomorrow's headline. That's a kind of pressure very few people will ever truly understand. Friends, family members, and people who worked close as they experience life's hardest moments under a spotlight that never switches off. Think about that for a second. When we struggle, our closest friends might know. When they struggle, billions of people can have an opinion before breakfast. That's not a normal way to live. And maybe it's not a normal expectation to place on anyone. The uncomfortable truth is, celebrities often become mirrors. We celebrate them when they're successful because they represent our dreams. We criticize them when they struggle because they remind us of our own fears. It's easier to judge a 30-second clip than to understand a 30-year story. But documentaries like this aren't about deciding who was right or who was wrong. They're about asking better questions. Because sometimes the right question changes everything. Remember the question we asked at the very beginning? What happened before that moment? Maybe now the answer feels a little different. Before the cameras, there were years of pressure. Before the headlines, there were private battles. Before the viral clips, there were human beings trying to carry expectations that no one was ever meant to carry alone. Perhaps that's the hidden reason so many celebrities lose control. Not because they were destined to fail. Not because fame changed who they were overnight. But because the weight eventually became too heavy. And maybe, if we spent less time judging people's worst moments, and more time trying to understand what led to them, the conversation would begin to change. The next time another celebrity becomes the internet's biggest headline, before sharing the clip, before writing another comment, before deciding who they are based on a few seconds of footage, ask yourself the same question one last time. What happened before that moment? Because behind every headline, there's a story. Behind every viral clip, there's a life. And behind every public breakdown, there's usually a human being the world forgot to see. If this documentary made you think differently about the hidden cost of fame, let me know in the comments. Which celebrity's story changed your perspective the most? And why? I read your comments, and many of your ideas inspire future documentaries here on Roundtable Celebrity. If you enjoy thoughtful celebrity documentaries that go beyond the headlines, subscribe to Roundtable Celebrity and join us for more stories that deserve to be understood, not just watched. Because sometimes the truth isn't hidden behind the headlines, it's hidden behind the person. Thank you for watching.